Okay, Sspopiikimi, good morning. It is a nice frosty morning. It's been kind of foggy all night, but down here in the lower, river bottom of the Old Man coulees, there's no fog like above, just frost, and it's really beautiful out here. I'm out just to kind of take a walk about on my own and see what's happening on this frosty morning. I had a few hours to kill, so this is a good way to come and do it. The geese are just rising up off of the river now. Heading out to, each of the goose clans kind of go out to wherever they're gonna forage for the day, whatever stubble fields. They'll come back sometimes in the afternoon, sometimes not till evening. But yeah, it's quiet on the water here, of course, all frozen over, as you can see. Though there has been obviously some activity, I think mostly coyote, but also deer moving across the ice. I wouldn't dare right now. Not quite yet. Not quite yet. It's about 7 degrees below zero this morning, and really bright. I should have some of those snow goggles. Anyway, let's go see what's happening. You can see at the Sspopiikimi that the snow in front of this beaver lodge has been melted off of the ice, indicating that, at the very least the water's warmer here. It may have been open yesterday, and looking right in front of the lodge, it appears as though there may be a bit of open water now. I don't know, I'll see when I get there, but yesterday temperatures did soar here in southern Alberta to 4 degrees above zero. So it's possible that there was a little bit of open water there. In any case, it's warmer, so it's melting the snow and stuff there and the ice. That's an indication that there's a beaver family in there, putting out some heat. Not sure who they are, the little birds. Sspopiikimi. They were flying around here. They just came out of the brush there and over to here. The males have kind of an orange breast. They look like a finch. I'm gonna have to sort it out with the guidebooks when I get home, because just off the top of my head I don't recognize them. So I've been just hanging out here a few minutes, watching these little birds. I think they're house finches, pretty sure, but I just need a bit of a closer look at them. In any case, I'm watching them because I don't want to just note that they're here, but I'd rather know, as a learner, I want to know, what are they doing? And just as I'm paying attention to them, they go very quiet. Totally quiet. Now they're starting to peep up again, but they were totally quiet. And while they were totally quiet, look who showed up. Just flew in, and I couldn't get the camera out quick enough to film the arrival. Right up here we have a bald eagle, who I think is probably a 2 or 3 year old. I don't, didn't look when he was coming in like it was a total Sspopiikimi white head, which is the Blackfoot name for these guys. So part of me is tempted to walk over that way a little bit, see if I can get a closer shot just for the video purposes, but the the other side of me says, don't do that. Don't act unnatural. Just be here in this place. Enjoy that the eagle's out here, and maybe it'll stick around out here if you don't act like a douche. So I'm just going to continue on my way, I think, and we'll see what becomes of the eagle as we go along. So now there are at least two questions kind of holding me in position here. One is, what are these proposed house finches up to? They may not be house finches. And that one is probably easy. They're probably eating some kind of seed, maybe thistle seed. There's a lot of thistle in this area, but I don't know. The other question now is, what are the eagles up to there? It must be looking for very small prey, like maybe even voles, possibly, you know, the little black rabbits, Sspopiikimi, the mountain cottontails. But there's no waterfowl on the pond here for that eagle to be interested in, obviously. I don't know whether the muskrats are still coming out or not. I'm gonna check. I'm gonna get on the ice actually, but the other day I was here briefly, or no, actually this occurred last Sunday when I was out here with my student. We saw some weasel tracks up here, so I'm curious whether or not there's been more weasel activity over that way. But I do want to get out, not fully on the ice, but just in the kind of in the southern marsh area here, and see whether or not there's any indication that the muskrats have been coming out. In fact, what I should do is check those two muskrat lodges that we looked at just days before it iced over. Yeah, it's killing me not to know what what these house finches are up to, but you know, in the same way that I'm giving the eagle his or her space, I really should give the house finches theirs as well. You know, yeah, I should look, and if I can see what they're up to, then that's great. But I think I've actually just chased them off. I saw a bunch of them just leave the bush and go around the bend of the coulee ridge there. So to the house finch, no, there's still some close by. There's still some that don't think I'm an asshole. And I don't want to prove them wrong, so I'm going to get going. Yeah, looking at it from this angle, I'm not going to be able to check the South Muskrat Lodge without, well, the known Muskrat Lodge anyway, there's probably more, without disturbing the eagle, because that lodge is just in the shoreline here, where it looks like there has maybe been some activity. And then the eagle, where is he? He's right here, you know? So it's very close there. to there, hey? So, not gonna bother with that one, but I will still poke around on the ice down here on along the marsh. Oh, there's one left. No, that's a merganser. This is just the view of the river here, of course. And as I came up on it, there was a group of common golden eyes just out here in the kind of the narrow. Some reason they like these kind of narrow strips of open water. So I usually find them, you know, not in those areas of broad open, but sometimes in the ripples they like that too. They're fish eaters, right? So what they like is what the fish like. So the fish must like those ripples, and then the fish must like these narrow strips, eh? That must be the most protection for them. So that's what the golden eyes go around. Oh, there might be one over here. Hold on. There is somebody here. I'm too far away right now to see if it's a golden eye or a merganser. Oh, from the flight, I'm thinking merganser. Yeah. No whistling wings anyway. Might even be another kind of a duck. Huh, goodness. I am gonna have to get out my binoculars and whoop, I lose him. Check on who this is. Yeah, so that was a female golden eye, or that is one. She's still out there. But yeah, I don't know why her wings didn't whistle like they normally do during the goldeneye flight, but yeah, it's a female. But in any case, one of the things, you know, you got to notice is that the animals, like these goldeneyes, are pretty scared of us. And that was what I was conscious of with the eagle, what I am conscious of with the eagle, even with the house finch. Certainly with the golden eyes, though. In fact, as I was coming up here along this trail, excuse me, oh, am I the only one that has pollen allergies in the snow and frost? As I was coming up this trail, I could see the golden eyes, and I knew that they noticed me, and I ducked down. And I ducked down out of sight, and maybe that freaked him out. I don't know. I don't think it would have been better if I stayed standing up, you know, from what experiences I've had with the golden eyes. And they are really quite a magical bird, a real water bird, a true water bird. You don't really know that until you spend time being close to them. I had a male common golden eye for I think a couple of weeks in my bathtub one time, at least a week, recovering from a concussion experience. And they are, you know, they're half fish, half bird, really. When you look in their eyes, you know that they're aquatic. But anyway, I saw that the spring over this way is open, so let's go check that out. Okay, I am here at the area of the South Pond Spring, where you can see there is a little bit of open water, which is the usual case for winter unless we're at 30 or 40 below. But what's not usual is how shallow this is. You can see the water's edge, even the ice's edge here. All this in between, this gap in the snow here represents the area that the pond is normally up to. You know, on this end from there all the way to there, right? Like this spring is normally pretty open, and it follows a canal that goes along through the cattails here, created by the beavers, you know. And in normal winters, there's pike that swim up this way, and sometimes in the very coldest parts of the winter, they'll get kind of locked in this area, run out of oxygen, and end up dying in big numbers. Well, not big numbers, but you know, when you come to a little spring this size and you see like 13 pike, good sized pike floating on the water, it's weird, right? But that sometimes happens. But it's very low this year, and I don't know whether we're going to have a. It's also pretty snowy pretty early. I'd be interested to see whether when the snow all kind of melts off, or if it does, you know, are we going to have another big melt before another big freeze? If we have another big melt, the water levels could go up, could raise the pond, but we'll see. Otherwise, this is the shallowest that it's been in 14 years of studying it here. Just trying to sort out this mystery. You have kind of marsh pond debris spewed up over the ice edge here by the shoreline. No obvious prints right around it on the ice nor on the shoreline, and you have it for both sides of this gap, this opening over this way. Got it as well right here, right? But what you also do have a little ways back are prints that appear to be kind of a small bird. This side too, a little bit further back than on that side. If you go from here and we open up, the bird tracks start, where do they start? Right out here, right? So that one's a little bit more distant, but you know, they start in the middle of the snow. It's the same as on the other side, and in a direction facing away from the opening in the water, right? So I deduce that this is a magpie baiting station out here in the South Pond, where the ice is pretty thin, pretty thin. Yeah, walking on this crunchy snow reminds me how really loud we are out here in our environment, you know? Like when there's other people here at Sspopiikimi, I can usually hear them at a pretty good distance. And I know I'm just as loud. I can see it in the animals as they depart in front of me. I'm just here at the sub pond, which I thought I would check for muskrat evidence. I don't want to worried about getting too close though, because just in the trees back here, see if I can zoom in and give you a look. There we go. That's the eagle, right? This eagle's still there. Nothing has changed. And I don't want to alarm the bird, but I think so far I'm demonstrating a respect for his or her space. So, ooh, might as well show you what I'm seeing here as I enter into the sub pond area. Ooh, the snow is getting deep, about the size of my knee, and there's tracks on the snow, but I don't think they're muskrat. I'm going in a little bit here. No, these are too large. They gotta be either deer or coyote. Going around in here. Don't see, at least, whoop, sinking in. Don't see, at least on this side, whoop. It's shallow. Yeah, no sign of muskrat here. Just hanging out here. The hawk nest tree. Noticing does have this snag branch here. Lots of woodpecker activity on all sides. I wondered whether or not the the problems down at the base of the tree, like this, I don't know if this is an indication of heart rot or anything like that. The wire here has pulled itself apart. I mean, well, it hasn't pulled it apart, but probably the tree has. This looks like very old beaver work. Very old beaver work. So the beavers started on this, and then they wrapped the wire around it. This other side here just has a, I think a diplodia gall here, and I don't know if that is any kind of response to this wire. But yeah, doing my diligence in this lunar cycle to pay a little bit more attention to the cottonwoods. Eagle's on its way somewhere. Somewhere downstream. Yeah, I just came up here on the levee. Was walking along and just noticed, I don't know, just out of my peripheral vision, must have sensed the movement or something of the eagle back in the trees. Further along the trail here, there is a porcupine in high areas of one of the trees. Where is he? There he is. Right up in there. Gate scuff. It's always fun during the winter when they're so visible, you know, keeping an eye on them, visit after visit. One of the things, like, before I came to that porcupine, just moving in this direction, my mind was cued. Look out for that porcupine, because I've seen it the last couple of weeks on some of my visits. So I just barely thought about it, and then a few steps down the trail, there it was. It's just looking out here along the North Pond area. As a last note before I head out for the morning, whether the muskrats had been around, and I don't see any trace of them. I see this, what is probably a coyote, coming along the edge here, and then this one that's kind of in the dimple in the middle of the snow here with the tracks leading out. That to me looks like a pheasant maybe landed there, although I don't see any tail marks, but the snow's a bit crunchy. Something landed there and walked out, a bird, not a muskrat, and did something in the reeds here and then headed across the pond that way. So could have even been a duck, you know. But yeah, no sign of the muskrat, and that was kind of the last thing I wanted to look at on this end of the pond before calling it a day, or a morning at least.